Hey, it's Katrina. The station where I work, where Your Florida Daily is produced, WKMG, is hitting the road again. So if you don't know, this is a project where we pick a different zip code in Central Florida each month, and we delve into the stories that you tell us are important. So this month we are in Orlando, specifically downtown Orlando. And for anyone listening who isn't familiar with Orlando, like the city of Orlando, this isn't Disney World. That's its own thing. I'm talking about 32801. This zip code encompasses downtown, the Thornton Park neighborhood, and what's now known as the Creative Village, a mixed-use development just west of I-4. So when I was trolling around Google Maps looking for some inspiration for a story, I zoomed in on a public park I'd never noticed before called Mayor Carl T. Langford Park. Now, I'm 27, going on 28 years old, and my whole life I've known this guy.
Hello, this is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer. If you're a resident, welcome home. If you're one of our nearly 70 million...
I've known Buddy Dyer to be the only mayor of Orlando, and obviously there were mayors before Buddy Dyer. But when you're mayor of a city for 21 years, it's the only name you know. So, let's talk about Orlando's second longest serving mayor, Carl Langford, a businessman with a distinctive handlebar mustache and no political experience, who led the city through the opening of Disney World, population booms, and negotiated the purchase of what would become Orlando International Airport.
Streets and stuff. So I have lots of fun facts, stories, trivia, information.
I am here for that.
Yeah.
So to get a history lesson, I went to the Orange County Regional History Center in downtown, where I met up with historian Rachel Williams.
I'm both an oral historian and like a researcher.
Just tell me again a little bit about what you do here. And I should note that you are a lot younger than I was expecting.
Yeah, I think most people, when they hear historian, they think of an old white guy, and I'm a young white woman. I got a master's degree from UCF in public history, bachelor's in history, so qualified.
She says Mayor Langford grew up in Orlando, became a Boy Scout, and later went to the University of Florida.
He was at UF to get a degree in accounting, but he almost flunked out and decided, maybe this isn't for me, and started working.
Langford started a construction company with a friend and actually built a bunch of houses in Orlando, some of which still stand today. He later went on to serve as an Army major in World War II.
And then he went into the service. He was actually Orlando's first selective service draftee.
And after that, Langford says he was inspired to run for office after the JFK assassination.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
Langford was sworn in on March 7th, 1967, after a special election to fill the vacancy left when Mayor Bob Carr died in office. By the way, back then, the job as Orlando mayor paid $15,000 a year.
I'm very into inflation calculator. The salary was $15,000. I was like, well, what's that in today's money? That's $140,000 now. It's the same spending power.
Records show Buddy Dyer currently makes north of $233,000. Anyway, Rachel showed me a book on her desk, an autobiography, actually, written by Langford during his time in office.
And it is very interesting, and I think lends to how eccentric he was.
Can you tell me the name of the title here?
It's called His Honor the Mayor, but it's like His Honor is spelled Hizzoner.
Like His Honor.
Yeah, but His Honor, but with Z, I don't, yeah. Eccentric. And to be honest, this is, as I was kind of reading this, I was like, okay, great, a resource of his experience as mayor up to 76. It's more so just a lot of ramblings.
Langford was just different. On his first day as mayor, there's a story that he took his office door off its hinges as a way to literally keep an open door policy with his constituents.
He's like, we're not doing this anymore. If anyone wants to talk to me, everyone else can hear it, kind of a thing. Which I'm sure that there were some people in his group that were not happy about that, but he does what he wants. He's the mayor.
During the Civil Rights Movement, Mayor Langford promoted the inclusion of African Americans into the city police academy and the fire department, officially becoming the first city in Florida to hire black firemen. You can't talk about Mayor Langford without talking about this legacy. He acquired the land now home to Orlando International Airport, which has a designator code of MCO.
Yeah, so originally MCO is there because of it was McCoy Air Force Base. So originally it was a military base. He was very adamant about, even before Disney opened, but I think maybe in like preparation for Disney, he was adamant about getting more commercial flights in and out of Orlando. And our small little executive airport over here that's closer to downtown, kind of near the Milk District, the runways weren't long enough or big enough for commercial flights to land and take off and stuff. So he wanted it to be out at McCoy. So that was why that kind of started. And then when McCoy closed, he bought it for the city, or he had the city buy it for $1.
I'm sorry, $1?
Uh-huh. It has something to do, don't quote me, I'm not an economist or a politician by any means. Something I'm sure to do with taxes and stuff, for sure.
Orlando was booming at the time. Think about it. Disney World opened in 1971, and people were moving to Central Florida in droves.
Another long-established source of Orlando's growth and prosperity is tourism. More than 50,000 visitors are attracted annually by the scenic beauty, perfect climate, and recreational variety which are to be found here.
The main shopping hub for Orlando was downtown. And then when you have Colonial Plaza that was built in 1956, because of suburban sprawl that we had here, people started building out because there was a number of population booms.
An expanded airport has runways to accommodate jet flights.
People started, getting more and more outside of this downtown hub, and people were becoming more reliant on cars.
There are improved highways into the city from all directions.
And people couldn't park downtown too, which was another big thing with Langford, is he was strongly against parking meters, but he never could get them out of downtown.
The rapid growth of Orlando, with its attendant population explosion, brought many new problems.
So, putting this huge shopping center, it wasn't as huge as it is today, in, more East Orlando, which at that point was dairy farms.
Right. Going nowhere.
Yeah, so you start to see shifts away from downtown, and then you start to see expansion even in the 50s.
Mayor Langford served until 1980, and shortly after leaving office, he left Florida. Packed up his stuff, moved to North Carolina, saying Orlando was, quote, too hot, too humid, and too crowded. But a couple decades later, he decided to move back.
So he wanted to come back home despite the heat and despite the crowdedness. And I think in his preparation, he made some comment about traffic was bad in 1980. I'm sure it's even worse now. And so I can't imagine his his reaction when he got back in 2002.
9 years later, surrounded by his family, Langford passed away in 2011.
He helped put Orlando on the map and welcomed Disney World to Central Florida. And today, Central Florida honored the life of former Orlando Mayor Carl Langford. Thousands packed the First Baptist Church of Orlando for this afternoon's funeral.
The Army never really left him, as he continued to wear his dog tags until this very day.
He used to say, I take my job seriously, but I don't take myself seriously.
Well, my father loved Orlando. He never could say Orlando. It was Orlando with an A. One thing I don't miss is all the traffic. He said, but that's my fault. He was absolutely speechless when he saw the growth on I-4 downtown Orlando in Orange County. He said, where are these people going? Where are they coming from?
Behind the growing skyline, the city with a new look still retains its inherent charm. Symbolized by the Centennial Fountain on Lake Eola in the heart of downtown Orlando, the city's new look adds excitement to the old warmth with which we invite you to visit us and experience the city's grace, charm, and multicolored beauty for yourself.
Langford, his honor, had a soft spot for conservation, too. So it makes sense that a quiet, canopied park with sprawling, mature oak trees and meandering trails is named for him. Buddy Dyer has said this year will be his final year as Orlando mayor. And I'm curious if the next person to fill those shoes is ready to usher in a whole new generation of exponential growth, like Dyer and Langford did. The city is still transforming, and whoever this future leader is, they can learn a lot from the past. Thanks for listening to a special episode of Your Florida Daily. You can check out all of the 32801 coverage from our team, including this podcast, on clickorlando.com. I'm Katrina Scales. See you next time.